Welcome to Module 2, the Fort Worth ISD Customer Service Guidelines. Today's presentation will include a review of the key components from the Module 1 training, introduction to additional customer service definitions, and an overview of the Fort Worth ISD Communication Guidelines. A scenario activity follows at the conclusion of the training. Let's begin by reading the quote on the slide. A customer is the most important visitor on our premises. He is not dependent on us. We are dependent on him. Our customers are the most important people in our district. In fact, we exist because of the customer. Families have so many education options: private schools, charter schools, online, homeschool, and more. We are no longer the only source of education. Our customers attend or work for Fort Worth ISD because they choose our district.
Customer service in Fort Worth ISD is an intentional effort to understand and exceed our customers' needs in a responsive and positive manner. Customer service isn't a new concept. We have been providing customer service by engaging students, parents, and the community in the business of education for years. Customer service is how we interact with and engage our customers each day. In Fort Worth ISD, providing exceptional customer service is the right thing to do. In Module 1, the Fort Worth ISD customer service standards were introduced to you. These standards were created for employees by employees and identify the expected behaviors to be adopted and modeled by all employees. As an employee, does your current customer service meet these guidelines? If not, then it's time to improve. Remember, the standards are key to the creation of an exceptional customer-centered culture in Fort Worth ISD. We all have customers we serve in the district. As a reminder, a customer is defined as an actual or potential user of your organization's educational programs and services. Customers include direct users of your programs and services, as well as others who pay for your programs and services. An employee's customers will differ based on the various roles in the district. Do you remember who you identified as your customers in Module 1? Don't forget that Fort Worth ISD employees can be your customers also.
Let's take a few minutes to learn some new customer service definitions. First, let's look at internal customers. The internal customer is a Fort Worth ISD employee or department. That means that internal customers are your coworkers, even the person sitting next to you. External customers are anyone that uses services provided by Fort Worth ISD. They are our students, parents, vendors, visitors, and community members. Internal and external customers are easy definitions to understand, but there are two more classes of customers that we want to introduce: primary and secondary. Let's take a look at the primary customer. The primary customer is the customer you were hired to serve or supervise directly. It does not mean he or she is your only customer, your most important customer, or your overall customer. However, the primary customer is the one you are held most accountable for serving. The secondary customer is a customer of one of your customers. He or she is the person your staff or your supervisor is primarily responsible for. In fact, this may be your boss's boss or your staff's customer. Let's look at examples of primary and secondary customers. A teacher has the student and principal as his or her primary customers. The secondary customer would be the parents and the learning network director. A principal has the teachers and the learning network director as his or her primary customers, and students and parents as his or her secondary customer. Just because the student is the secondary customer, it does not mean they are not important. However, the principal is held directly responsible for how the teachers perform, and they are accountable for responding to the requirements of his or her supervisor. A custodian is responsible for providing a clean environment for everyone who uses the building. His or her primary customers would be the school employees and head custodian. The secondary customers would be the students, parents, and others coming into the building. In addition, a secondary customer would be the supervisor of the head custodian. A child nutrition worker would identify students, staff, and their immediate supervisor as his or her primary customer. The secondary customers would be the parents and their supervisor's supervisor. A payroll worker has all employees and their supervisor as his or her primary customers. The secondary customer is the next level supervisor. This definition requires us all to change how we think about customers, and that can be difficult. Our last two definitions are customer engagement and voice of the customer. Customer engagement is your students' and other customers' investment in or commitment to our organization and your educational program or service offerings. The engagement of our students, parents, community, and employees has been a cornerstone of our district. We engage our customers in Fort Worth ISD in many ways. Our students are engaged in the classroom, extracurricular programs, clubs, athletics, student advisory groups, and more. We engage our parents and community members through campus-based events, parent portal, PTA or PTO, booster clubs, site-based decision-making, and other committees. Employees are engaged through campus and department committees, site-based decision-making, and other campus and district committees. Customer engagement provides us the opportunity to hear their feedback or voice. Listening to the voice of our customer has driven many decisions for our district. We listen to the voice of our customers through advisory groups, surveys, website, and much more. On a larger scale, the district listens to the voice of the customer to include our website, mobile app, parent portal, advisory committees, annual surveys, customer service online feedback, parent information line, and more.
In the article, Bad Customer Service Interactions More Likely to be Shared Than Good Ones, 54% of respondents who had shared a bad experience said they shared it more than 5 times, compared to 33% of those who had shared a good interaction. Many of us have had customer service experiences where we walked away feeling disrespected, frustrated, and angry. Years ago, negative customer service experiences were shared with others in person or on the phone, usually as a warning to others. Today, there are so many avenues for sharing customer service displeasure, like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Social media has dramatically changed how we interact with others. Negative experiences can significantly impact a business or a school district. Providing exceptional customer service is paramount to the success of our district. The Fort Worth ISD Communication Guidelines were created to guide our interactions with customers. Be sure to download the Guidelines brochure attachment and refer to it as we move through this presentation. Many of our customer interactions take place through greetings, walk-ins, telephone calls, and email. Our communication guidelines provide consistent behavioral expectations for all employees and an opportunity for employees to model positive communication to students. These guidelines focus on key customer interactions that take place on a daily, even hourly basis. They reinforce employee behaviors that are respectful and responsive. Let's look at these guidelines more closely. While we review these, think about your current work environment and how these guidelines can be integrated into your customer service interactions. Let's begin with a review of the guidelines for walk-in and greetings. Key expectations for employees include: smile and greet customer in professional, courteous, and positive manner. Restate customer request to ensure understanding and acknowledgement. Ask customer if additional assistance is needed, and be sure to thank customer for visiting campus or department. Remember to provide an organized, clean, and professional atmosphere with current resources and signage. As we look at the telephone guidelines, some of the highlights from the guide include: Answer phone promptly using a professional and positive tone. Restate the customer request to ensure understanding and acknowledgement. Strive to return calls within 24 to 48 hours. Limit hold time and use hold button to ensure confidentiality and minimize disruptive noise. Be sure to explain why call is being transferred and ensure transition is smooth and responsive. In closing, don't forget to ask the customer if additional assistance is needed and thank him or her for calling campus or department. As you review the guidelines in your handout, you will see the expectations are much more detailed. You can see that a professional and timely response is important. We always want to avoid transferring customers to several departments. Within our job, we use email as a major form of communication. As we look at the email guidelines, some of the highlights include: begin email with meaningful subject line and polite salutation. Personalize email and reference sender's question. Proofread responses for clarity and comprehension. Check and return emails within 24 hours. End your email with a polite closing statement. These communications guidelines apply to all customers. Remember, we are each other's customers. Be sure to follow the customer service standards for internal customers just as you would for external customers.
Now that we know the standards and communication guidelines, it's time to put our knowledge to practice. In this activity, you will view 3 different scenarios using common Fort Worth ISD situations and employees. Each scenario provides examples of poor and exceptional customer service. After each scenario, you will have 3 questions to help you reflect back on the video and potential customer responses. Number 1, what did you observe in this scenario, and how do you think it aligns with our standards and communication guidelines? Number 2, if you were the customer, how would you feel? 3, what do you believe the perception of the district would be based on this scenario? Let's get started. We hope you enjoyed the scenario activity. Let's close out this module by looking at the quote on this slide. The customer's perception is your reality. An interesting quote that prompts all of us to think about our own customer service behavior. When you serve a customer, do you think about how they are perceiving you and the district? What is your customer's reality? The standards and communications guidelines provide information and customer service expectations in Fort Worth ISD. Be sure to take some time outside of this presentation to review them closely and begin integrating them into your customer interactions. You have concluded Module 2. Now it is time to proceed to Module 3, Customer Service and Me.